Welcome to episode 95 of Scar Bearers. I'm Chris DT Gordon. As always, I can't say it enough. Thank you so much for being here with me. I greatly appreciate it. And Nate and Britton Barron, thank you so much for helping me on the technological side. If you want them to work their magic on your projects, reach out to them at Nate Barron. It is February. It is cold, and I'm not a fortune teller, but I'm going to think that there might be some people who might be struggling with some issues, who have some challenges in their lives, who might need some assistance by the attitude of gratitude that I speak about, so we can increase their gratitude, positivity, and resilience. If you know of a youth group, a high schoolers, college students, those in the military who could really benefit from increased levels of gratitude, positivity, and resilience, please reach out to me at chrisdtgordon.com. Let's start a conversation about how we can help our young people become the leaders we need them to be. Well, I am joined by my new friend, Vernon Davis. Vernon, how are you today, sir?
Chris, I'm doing very well, man. It's been a long day, but it's been productive, man. How are you?
You know, those days are sometimes the best.
Yeah.
Sometimes not when you're in them, but when you finish them, it feels really good. And so, no, I'm so happy to have you here with us. You know, I'm excited to talk about your story because your story deals with, at least the beginning, deals with what we all, especially if we are adults, struggled with, is childhood. We all have come up with issues in our childhood that have shaped us to become the people who we are today. And your story is no exception. Would you mind please sharing that with us?
Yeah, Chris, thank you. So when I was younger, it's probably the summer after second grade, and it's no fault to anyone, nobody's fault. My parents, they dropped me, my two siblings off at my grandmother's house. But we didn't know we were getting dropped off, right? We thought we were just going to visit, be over there for a couple of hours, and then we were going to go to our hotel and get ready to go back home the next day. Something that was uncharacteristic, at least up until that point in our lives, from what I can remember, is my mom and my dad leaving us at our grandmother's house for an extended period of time. It wasn't until a couple of hours passed, and I remember like it was yesterday. Wasn't until a few hours had passed that we started asking, okay, when our parents coming back? And that's when our grandmother told us that, yeah, you guys are staying with me for a little while. And me, my brother, and my twin sister, we just had a meltdown, man. We were just so distraught and so emotional, because it wasn't planned. At least we weren't a part of the planning. It just sprung upon us, and what my grandmother did to get us to stop crying was feed us. And so, throughout, I believe they said it was like 2 weeks. It felt like forever. It was like 2 weeks. Every time that we would cry because we wanted to go home, we wanted our parents. Our grandmother would just give us food, and so, and that was a short period of time in the summer. But one of the things that lingered with us after we went back home was this increased appetite, and not because we were necessarily hungry. Well, speaking for myself, not because I was necessarily hungry, but that's what I had learned to do in challenging moments, moments when I was sad or upset, was to eat the pain away. Eating would make me stop crying. It would get me to calm down, and so that carried on into my adult life.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And, I think of characters in movies or cartoons who they sometimes, it's usually a bigger character who usually jokingly will stick like I'm thinking of like the Long John, like a cream filled donut in their mouths. Oh, I feel so much better now. Blah, 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 blah. But I mean, to a certain extent, that's what you were doing. You were, as you said, feeding your pain and medicating yourself through food. I'm imagining that unless you were extremely busy and active, that probably had some detrimental effects on you.
Yeah, long term it did. I mean, I went to third grade, much larger than, how I left second grade. And I went to fourth grade, much larger than how I left third grade, and so on and so forth. It wasn't until I was about fifth grade where I remember joining a basketball team, and that kind of helped me at least maintain the weight that I had already, got on me and not get any bigger. Then I started getting taller, and so it looked like I was standing out, but I was just getting taller, and that helped some. But long term, it ended up having some effects on my body that just were undesirable, that I just never would have imagined that I would have. The issues that I at least at one point had in my life, I just never thought that I would have those. And then to realize that it all stems from having this addiction to food, using food as comfort, and during the daily stresses of life, test or examination periods, going to get a snack before exams to calm my nerves. Back then, issues with my significant other, whomever she was, go give me something to eat, to kind of just subside the pain there, the emotional hurt. Got into it with a friend, and I'm gonna go get me something to eat because I know it's gonna make me feel better. Get a whooping at home. Shoot, man. Once my mom or dad finished spanking me, and they let me go on about my business, go to the kitchen, get me a snack, wipe my tears, and get a soda or a juice. That was just who I was, man.
Wow. And obviously this has affected you so much because you're talking about to this day. At what point did you realize, okay, something has to change? Otherwise, I'm gonna be like this permanently or worse.
Well, the permanent isn't what I was thinking. It was more of I'm gonna not exist anymore. And so what took the change, and it was really a shift of mindset that had to happen first, right? It was being diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, man. 2020 was a challenging year. Huh?
When did that happen? I'm sorry. What age were you?
My apologies. So this was 30.
Okay.
Yeah, 2020. Yeah, I was 30. Yeah, so it was 2020, July of 2020. I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, and I mean, 2020 was a challenging year for the majority of the world, right? And so, being in the middle of a pandemic and working from home, I ate, man, because I could. I mean, I already mastered that learned behavior of eating stress away and eating, when experiencing, any kind of pain. So now I'm working from home. My job isn't super stressful. It's more repetitive than anything, to where there are like, periods of time where I'm just listening. I just put my phone on mute, man, and snack on, leftovers or different snacks from the pantry. Because I'm sitting at home, I'm home alone. My wife is still going to work, to her job place for work. And, I'm sitting here and guzzling down a 64-ounce carton of juice, 2-liter sodas, sipping a little bit of water, not a lot. But majority of my liquids were soda and juice. And as the months passed, man, from January up through July, man, I put on just a number of pounds, and I was already a big guy, big, out of shape, and so that didn't help at all. Man, Chris, my wife and I were actually traveling to Michigan for a wedding, and that's when I realized that I might have a problem. Now, prior to this trip to Michigan, which was also in July, I had been experiencing tingling in my fingers, tingling in my toes, numbness in my left leg, blurred vision in my left eye. But it wasn't bad enough for me to say, okay, something's wrong with me. I just figured I could shake it off. I was not going to go to the doctor for these things because I figured I could shake it off. I was not sleeping through the night, but I hadn't been sleeping consistently through the night for many years. So I just took that as, this is just who I am. I'm a light sleeper. I'm going to get, an hour and a half nap in the middle of the night. I'm going to wake up, I'm going to use the restroom, I'm going to get something to snack on, and then I'm going to go right back to sleep for another hour and a half. And that cycle will continue until it was time to get up to start my day. It became a part of my norm. The pain in my side still wasn't bad enough for me to say, hey, I'm going to go to the doctor because I feel like I could shake it off. It wasn't until we went on this trip to Michigan where I was able to really see that I was, my body was just off, man. So we're driving on whatever interstate it was, and
Well, where are you
I have
coming
to
from?
use the restroom. Coming from Virginia. So it's about an 11-hour drive.
So
And
I-75. I grew up in Michigan.
okay.
Yeah.
Well,
So where
thank
were
you.
you
So
headed?
Southfield.
All right. Yep. By
Yep,
Detroit.
Southfield. Yep. Southfield.
You're on 75. Yep. Okay. I'm sorry. Continue. My Michigan,
no problem.
My Michigan spider sense just clicked in. Like, oh yeah, where were you at? Because that's what we do. We tell people where we're at with our hands. Anyway, you're headed to Southfield for a wedding.
Yeah, man. So have to use the restroom. Nothing out of the norm, but I couldn't hold it. And the first time it happened, I figured, okay, well, I did just guzzle down, a big thing of juice and some water. So okay, no problem. Can't hold it. I don't want to, try to make it to the next exit because I feel like I'm gonna, pee on myself. So I'm just gonna pull over on the side of the interstate and relieve myself. So I did that once and thinking, okay, one off. It's not gonna happen again. It happened again about an hour later, and then so on and so forth, roughly every hour. And I'm pulling over on side this on side the highway, on side the interstate to pee. And both me and my wife are just like kind of shocked that I was doing it and that I kept doing it. That's when I realized I had a problem. The cherry on top was the day of the wedding, where the night before the wedding, I decided not to consume any liquids past 7 p.m. so that by the time the wedding came, 11 a.m. the next day, I completely empty of all my liquids, won't have to pee or nothing like that. But that didn't work out like I thought it would. So I guess it was a boardwalk, something that's near some water that separates Michigan from Canada.
Oh, and, the St. Clair River.
There you go. So we were over there, me and the other groomsmen, and then the groom. So this was the night before the wedding, and I had that experience again. And I gotta pee real quick. But I'm with a group of men. Majority of them I don't know, and then I'm in a town, a city I don't know, never been before, and so I'm not going to. I'm going to do my very best, at least, not to pee on myself, to embarrass myself. So, with COVID protocols and the changes that we've had to adapt to in our society, man, it was very challenging to get to a restroom, in that area. I mean, having to get my temperature taken, questionnaire on any symptoms that I may have experienced in the last 14 days. I had to make sure I had on the correct kind of mask, and then I had to wait for the next stall to open. Man, it was a miracle that I didn't pee on myself in this fancy restaurant. It was like some kind of conference area, and it was so many turns to go through to get to the restaurant that had the restroom and all that. So that's when I made the decision. Okay, I'm not going to drink anything else after 7:00. So I won't have to worry about this at the wedding. Don't want to ruin the wedding. Don't want to embarrass myself, right? Yep. Man, the next morning I get up, have to pee. I'm like, okay, well, maybe that makes sense. I guess it takes a little time to get the urine out from yesterday afternoon. Then we're on our way. My wife and I were on our way to meet up with the wedding party to get on a party bus. And that was challenging because I had to pee. And so I pulled over into a parking lot and peed behind a dumpster, unfastening all of my groomsmen outfit. And, I felt embarrassed, even though it was only me and my wife. I was embarrassed that became something a part of my history. And so I'm standing in the ceremony, also, still having to pee. And I'm just confused, like, man, I haven't drank anything in over 12 hours. What is wrong with me? And so, once we got back to Virginia, my wife, urged me to go to a doctor to get checked out. So I went to a local clinic and, shared with the doctor, the different symptoms I had been experiencing. And he took a blood sample and the urine sample. He came back casual, just like he was telling me the sky was blue. He said, Mr. Davis, you're type 2 diabetic, man. That's why you're experiencing these things. And I was crushed, man. I was just crushed.
Wow. And did you ever think that you would become diabetic? Is that something ever crossed your mind?
Never. I knew diabetes as the sugars, and I never could get the sugars, is what I thought to myself. I could never get in a position where I would have to get an arm cut off, or get my leg cut off, or half of my leg cut off, or something like that, or go blind in one or both eyes. It just never crossed my mind that that was a possibility for me, because I was active, and I was a lazy active. I mean, I hustled my tail at work, wherever I was working at, but outside of that, I was just a couch potato. So once the doctor told me that, man, I was I was crushed, man. And to kind of emphasize the hold, the addiction that food and sugary drinks has had on my life, I anticipated negative news, and so in preparation, I chose to go to a local convenience store before going to this clinic that morning, and I purchased 5 drinks, man. 4 of those drinks were fountain drinks, and of those, 2 of them were fruit punch drinks, and the other 2 were sodas. And then the 5th drink was like a slush. And I said, hey, you know what? Telling myself, like, if I do get bad news, like I think I will, I have something to come to immediately. So I don't have to stop anywhere. I can go straight home, and I can drink all these juices in the car, these sodas in the car on the way home. And man, that was the last day I actually had soda and juice. I was so hurt and upset. I took 1 sip of the fruit punch and I threw everything away. And I haven't had soda or juice since that day.
Wow. First of all, I want to say I commend you on your fortitude to make the decision right then to cut it out right away. But I want to step back a little bit and just I don't want to say ruminate, but it is amazing to me that you anticipated bad news, and that triggered the thought of, hey, I should get some food to snack on for this bad news. And I'm not saying amaze in a good way. I'm saying it, wow, that is a mental illness. Because it is controlling your body in such a way that you are, as you said, you trained yourself to do this. And so, wow, I'm thankful that you made the decision right then to stop, because I can't see, obviously, and you saw it too, that this was not going to end well if you continued down this road. So maybe we'll pick up there. What, after you decided, okay, I'm going to toss all this stuff, where did you go next to continue to start this new journey of yours?
Yeah. So, I opened the passenger door of my vehicle, took that 1 sip of the fruit punch and threw all 5 drinks away. Then, I walked to the driver's side. I sat down, I cried, and I got on my phone immediately, man. I called my wife, shared with her the news. I called my mom so that my mom and dad could be aware. And I hung up with them, and then I enlisted 2 accountability partners immediately, because I just knew I couldn't do this alone. And so I called my friend Tony Lee. He's a personal trainer in the area. Me and him have been friends for about 6 years. And I shared with him what was going on, and he reassured me that he was going to be of assistance in helping me get the success that I desired, which was healing my body. Now, I want to preface the healing here. I didn't want to use any prescription medication. I wanted to heal my body naturally. And so while I was written a prescription for a particular medication that's used for type 2 diabetes, I did not use it, not one day. So talk to Tony. And he told me we'll talk a little bit more later. I just needed to share with him what was going on. And then I called my friend Breon, another friend, about 5 or 6 years, and he was a herbalist. And he had a transformation himself recently, and he attributed it all to learning about natural herbs and sea vegetables to heal his body. And so I wanted to reach out to him for any tips and advice. I had no idea that he'd be consistently on this journey alongside me to help guide me and push me with information and knowledge. I just thought it'd be, someone I just check in occasionally and let them know how I was doing. And that's what I thought accountability partner was going to be for me. Didn't think it would be, almost every day, communication, checking on me, seeing how I'm doing. passing along information that he was acquiring through his own research, and forcing me to continue my own self-education. So that's what I did after I threw those drinks away. I remember telling Tony I wanted to, start working out with him in 2 weeks because I needed to detox my body. And, after, getting started on the self-education piece, learning more about type 2 diabetes, what causes it, and some of the things that I can do to help better my body, I opted to cut that down to a week. And so me and him got started that next week. And, it was a little frustrating, to be honest, because he was saying that, I had to work out on my patio because of the pandemic. Couldn't go to a gym, couldn't meet up, in person. And I was desperate, man. So, I was willing to try it, but it was frustrating because it didn't make sense to me. It didn't make sense that I could do simple exercises that I learned in elementary school to, better my situation. But it worked. No equipment, man, other than a jump rope. And then half the time I didn't even have to use that because I had jumping jacks. So that's what I did, after threw those drinks away. And, they've been a part of my journey. Even to this day, I was with Tony this morning working out. Now I'm doing strength training.
Yeah, I did see you post. I believe you posted a video of him earlier. And when you said his name, it triggered that memory. And so did you, have you ever run into a coach from your early days, or maybe a gym teacher, and say, "Hey, I'm using that stuff now. I'm back when you made us do bench prints and burpees. I'm doing that." Not that if you did burpees in third grade, but it's it is amazing how effective those body weight exercises are. And you don't need a fancy gym. You don't need $1,000 of equipment. You can use your own body weight. You can use a gallon of water. You can use a bucket of water. You can use a brick. Yep. You just need your imagination. So you start working out on your patio. Walk me through the first couple of weeks mentally. Like, how are you dealing with it? I'm sure it wasn't easy because this is a whole new lifestyle for you.
Yeah, man, it was crazy stressful, man. So the first few weeks were very challenging, because there were other things going on in me and my wife's life. We had a passing of a family member that we were dealing with. And then we also found out that we were expecting our first child, man, all within this first month of being diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, man. And so it was a lot of emotions, man. And, all I could think of, especially after we found out we were expecting, is, man, I got to do whatever I can to, put myself in the best position to live as long as I can to be around for our unborn child. And so, it was a very emotional, forcing myself to get up, trusting in what Tony was asking me to do through video chat, and then pushing myself to do it. I mean, some of the simplest things, exercise wise, I just couldn't do. I had been doing modified push. I had to start off doing modified push-ups, man, on my knees because I wasn't strong enough to do a regular push-up. I had also, in those first few weeks, learned a bit more about food and what was going to be beneficial for me to consume and what was best for me to stay away from. And so, shifting my mindset, going grocery shopping, shifting my mindset when stepping into the kitchen in general, when it came to preparing something to eat for breakfast, for lunch, and then a late lunch or early dinner, and even a snack on, that was very challenging because it just wasn't my norm. And so, trying to condition myself to, be okay with eating an apple and walnuts for breakfast, trying to condition myself to be okay with eating a cup of rice, a cup of cooked rice and some sauteed vegetables, was very challenging. But was able to get it done. And then consuming natural herbs, that they're disgusting. They do not taste good. And forcing myself to include those in my homemade smoothies that I was making with frozen fruit that I purchased from a local market, and sometimes I use fresh fruit. If I had a little bit more time on my hands, I'd use fresh fruit. But downing that stuff was, it was challenging because it was just nasty. I mean,
Oh,
as nice as fruit is, did not mask the taste of the sea moss gel, the bladderwrack, the burdock root, the elderberry, the black seed oil. All that stuff was very, very strong in taste, and it stood out. So those are very challenging. But as the weeks passed and started experiencing little milestones that became very important. Not getting to a point to where I wasn't having to rush to the restroom to urinate, and I wasn't urinating as often in the fashion that I was. I could sit on a call for work if a call ran for an hour long, 50 minutes longer than what it should have. I could sit there and hold it and not feel like my bladder was about to bust. Whereas in the past, I was rushing to the restroom. So it was a milestone, being able to sleep through the night, without having to break my sleep to get up to use the restroom or, feeling a sense of insomnia, was a milestone. Then my clothes started fitting better. My skin started, looking better. I had like a dark area here on my neck. It's not all around my neck. It's not there anymore. When I started noticing that, my neck was more of the same complexion as, my face, my nose and stuff, that was a milestone. And so, just continuing to push, 4 weeks turned into 3 months. And at my 3-month checkup post diagnosis, to have been down about 15 pounds or so, that was encouraging. Wanted me to, continue to push to remain consistent and to remain patient while still holding on to my accountability partners. To see my A1C level having decreased by over 50% was encouraging. I mean, when I was diagnosed, my A1C level was greater than 15.5. They said 15.5 is the highest that they could measure, at least on that day.
wow.
And so,
Now,
not sure of the exact number.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I am not familiar with that term. What does that mean?
So this is a blood sugar level. One of the ways they measure blood sugar level. I said it was off their charts, and which is horrible. But 3 months later, I'm down to a 7.4, and so I'm like, okay, that's good. Now, a little bit more information. My primary care physician is not the one that diagnosed me with type 2 diabetes, although I believe they had a strong suspicion that I was type 2 diabetic. Unfortunately, during the pandemic, in-person appointments kept getting pushed back. At least the office that I went to, did not offer virtual appointments at that time. And so I did go to a clinic and receive my diagnosis. And my first checkup 3 months after my diagnosis was with my primary care physician in his office. And, he was disappointed in me to not have taken the medication, considering the information that the clinic shared with him. He was disappointed in me that I wouldn't even consider it, even from that day speaking with him. But after he, did my blood sugar numbers and saw that my A1C had dropped to 7.4. Initially, he was concerned, as well as the nurses there as well. Once I shared with them what my A1C was 3 months prior, they were all excited and happy for me. I remember him telling me, and Mr. Davis, you haven't taken the medication, and I don't see no reason why you should start now. Just keep doing what you're doing. And so, I held to that, even though I was going to do it anyway, but I held to it. It just felt good coming from a medical professional. Hey, keep doing what you're doing. And I did share with him what it was that I was doing. But that was a milestone for me. And it just pushed me to want to keep going. 5 months after my diagnosis. So this is Christmas morning. I wake up, I'm down 50 pounds, man. 225, hadn't been that small since college, since undergrad. So milestone there is very good. So grateful, to experience those. And those are on the journey to success. And it's an ongoing journey. I don't think I'll ever have quote unquote arrived. But to be able to continue to experience, positive numbers, positive readings, feeling good, not feeling any of the symptoms that I once had. That's all en route to success as it relates to optimal health. And I'm just going to keep pushing.
And first of all, congratulations, Vernon, on your success at that point. Coming back from such a I want to say traumatic, but well, I guess it would be traumatic diagnosis
Yeah.
to, to say, you know what, we're not having that. We're going to, I'm going to work on this, and to come to a point where the doctors are applauding you for what you're doing, and losing that much weight in 5 months is fantastic. But apparently you did not just keep this to yourself. You've been wanting to help others on their journey, correct?
Yeah, correct. About I guess it was maybe February, March of 2021. Myself, Breon, and Tony, we sat down and wanted to record a video, just to share my journey up until that point. And what I found was not a lot of people, took notice to it. As much as we promoted it on social media, going to the actual YouTube website to see the number of views, still, it was in the single digits for weeks, man. And I was like,
Yeah.
what's going on here, man? Like, I had learned that pre-diabetes and type 2 diabetes made up or was a part of, roughly 100 million American lives. So, somebody has to want to see this, especially, not, being prideful or anything like that, but especially to be able to do it, during a time where, we're, restricted, in what we could do publicly, as far as going out of the house and stuff like that. And, choosing to go the natural route, man, surely more than 4 people can benefit from looking at a video with this title. So, went back to the drawing board, and Tony wrote a book that he was working on, and he was saying, hey man, you might want to consider just writing a book, man. And I thought, hey man, maybe later in life, I'm not where I need to be in order to do that. And then I realized that what better time than now. And so I was working on my book, and went ahead and did everything I needed to do to own everything in it, and released it just a few weeks ago there on Amazon.
Well, fantastic. Congratulations on the release of the book. Do you happen to have a copy handy?
Thank you. Yes, I do. Uncomfortable Peace.
Excellent. Stepping outside I can I see the subtitles. Stepping outside my comfort zone to naturally beat type 2 diabetes. Fantastic. And so you connected with Kima Carter. Is that your local physician?
Kamia Carter, she is not a local physician. She actually is in the state of Texas. She graduated from Texas Tech, and she's a registered and licensed dietitian nutritionist. I actually met her through someone else in my network, and share with her my story, and asked her if she would be willing to do the forward in my book. And it just so happened in that same conversation, she expressed to me, her familiarity with type 2 diabetes, and it actually claimed the life of one of her close relatives. And that is what put her on the path to want to be a registered dietitian nutritionist and a licensed dietitian nutritionist to help others with, having guidance and making lifestyle changes, especially in the kitchen, to alleviate the stress on the body that diabetes does put, and to help them to reverse their condition.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, congratulations on the success. Where can we find this book?
Yeah, Chris. So right now it is available on Amazon. Proud to say that for 2 days straight, in the diabetes category for the Amazon books, we were listed at number 1 for new releases, and so that was very exciting to see back to back. And we're also going to have autographed copies on our company website. Our company website is www.d as in David, F as in Frank, publishing.org. And that website will be live on the 25th of January this year. So just about a week and a half or so from now.
It's recording, yeah. Awesome. Well, it sounds. I'm picking up that you also started a publishing company.
Yes, sir.
Wow, you're taking big strides. That's awesome. And so, what's besides the book? What's in the works for DF Publishing?
Yeah. So we don't want to be we want to be different. So we aspire to educate, motivate, and inspire everyone that reads any of our publications. And so we're working on children's books. We're working on health conscious books. And we're looking for other authors out there that don't even know that they're authors, people that have stories to tell, but don't know how to effectively tell it, and help groom them to become authors and have something to their name, something that can't nobody take away from them. And Lord willing, something that'll produce dividends for them for decades to come. In addition to that, I am going to be offering my time as an accountability partner for anyone else that's struggling with type 2 diabetes that needs someone in their corner to motivate them, help keep them going, share with them, personal experiences during times of success and during challenging times to be able to get up and say, hey, just take another step, and then the next step will follow. So we'll be offering that as well through our publishing company. Looking to go on a book tour here later this year, and right now we've been fortunate enough to promote in the state of Texas and in the state of Louisiana. Over the next week and a half, we'll be in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Atlanta, Georgia, as well, promoting our book, trying to get it into different bookstores. Working on partnerships with a local juice bar to have a autograph a signing session for our book, Uncomfortable Peace, here in the Chesapeake, Virginia area, and just looking, man, to stay relevant, to continue to find information to give out that's going to be beneficial to our readers. Not that fantasy things are bad, by no stretch of the imagination. Right now, that's not something that we have found a way to put something together that'll be beneficial to people's lives yet. But we are hoping to get to that point where we can offer all genres under our publishing company, and it still be inspirational and educational.
So I can't send you my Ninja Turtles fanfic right now, but hopefully in the future.
Hopefully in the future.
Okay, because I got a story cooking up here with the Ninja Turtles and Deadpool that I'm dying to share. So, but that's exciting. I'm so happy for you and that you're able to find your purpose through this journey. And, besides the professional, the strivings that you're doing, this professional goals you're setting up, how about personally? What's going on with you on a personal level that you're working towards or that you're really enjoying right now? I believe that child was born, correct?
Yes. My son, Prince, he's 8 months, just turned 8 months on yesterday, the 9th. And so, just having a great time with him. My wife is, leading the charge with baby-led weaning, with introducing him to foods and letting him get comfortable with the foods that we place in front of him, and make a decision if he's going to put it in his mouth or not, or if he's just going to play with it. She's been a champion in our household. Man, I couldn't be where I am without her. So personally, just continuing to spend time with my son, spend time with my wife. Make sure I don't neglect them in any shape, form, or fashion. I'm working on my delivery as I speak. So like speaking in the mirror, just to be able to see for myself some of the little quirks that I have, and striving to correct those as I see them, so that it'll become permanent, that they're not a part of any speaking event that I have. Fortunate, Chris, to be living out a dream that I had when I was a teenager, which was to be a motivational speaker. I had no idea it would be in this capacity, but I'm very grateful. And I still believe I'm relatively young, and so to still be young and be able to do that, also as you stated, finding my purpose. It's motivating on a personal level, because now I'm doing something that I enjoy, and I'm very fortunate to be able to speak from experience as I talk. I do feel like it's a little bit better received. I'm not speaking from theory. I'm not speaking from assumption or in third person from somebody else's story or situation. I'm able to, speak from my own life. And, we found so far with the reviews that we're getting from our book is that, a lot of people are struggling with diabetes, and the person that they're reading about me in the book, they identify with that person in their own life with some of the challenges prior to diagnosis that I had, after being diagnosed that I had, still, challenges that, people are able to relate to, and they're pulling motivation from, the journey and making it up to where I am today.
I can't tell that you're not a motivational speaker already. You are nailing this conversation. You're so well spoken, Vernon. You have a great natural poise to you. So I definitely think that is a journey you should start taking yourself, is getting on a stage, talking with people. I would also, and this is not only for you, but for people who feel that they have a message to share, reach out to media outlets. Reach out to your local TV stations. The smaller, actually, the better, because they're dying for news stories. And to have a positive, uplifting, inspirational story to share is what they want to have. And so reach out to your local TV, radio affiliates, continue appearing on podcasts, because not only will you get more coverage, but from personal experience, I can say it makes you a better speaker, because you get those reps in, you learn what to say, what not to say, what to do, what not to do, and it's just great practice. So I would advise you to do that. But again, thank you so much for sharing your story. Before I ask you everywhere we can find you, I am a gratitude guy. So what is something throughout your journey that you were grateful for that you maybe never thought you would be grateful for?
Yeah. Being born in 1990, going to college in 2008, where there were computers everywhere, where, cell phones becoming more and more of a daily necessity. I'm at the point now where I had to realize that I just took technology for granted, right? And through this journey, I've learned so much, much more than I could have ever learned without technology. And, while it's, present in my daily life, I incorporate technology in just about everything, even in my sleep. I'm grateful for it, because it was a resource for me or a device for me to use and find other resources to help better my situation. In addition to that, I'm extremely grateful for the patience of my wife. I've always been grateful for my wife, but I think I took her patience for granted, because there's been times where, she could have, went off on me or gave me a piece of her mind as I'm having these mental breakdowns, as I'm giving into the food addiction, and stealing food off of her plate when she's not looking, eating her leftovers when, she said she was going to consume them when she came home after work. And this is during the pandemic, after I was working from home. But I'm extremely grateful for my wife and her patience with me. I couldn't be where I am today without her love and patience. So I'm extremely grateful for her love and her patience.
I appreciate that. On behalf of your wife, I appreciate that, because I also have a fantastic wife who throughout our journey has, really stepped up and took a leadership. Not that she wasn't a leader already, but she took everything on her shoulders and just was a champion for our family. And so definitely make sure you play this for her, so she knows that you're telling all of the 88 subscribers I have. So I know what it's like to have a, view, not a lot of views on YouTube. But I applaud you for shouting her out. That's awesome. So where can people find you, Vernon, and how can they get a hold of you to get some of that guidance, some of that accountability, and find your book?
Okay, yeah. So our company website is going to be our hub for all of our information. That's dfpublishing.org. Unfortunately, it's not going to be live until the 25th of January. In the meantime, Facebook.com/Vernon P. Davis Jr. That's my personal Facebook page. You can message me on there. If you would like to go to our company Facebook page, please do. It's Davis Family Publishing, facebook.com/DF Publishing. So we're there as well. And those two forward slashes also for Instagram as well. But Facebook, my personal Facebook page is the best place to get a hold of me now. And if anybody wants to shoot me an email, feel free. Vernon at dfpublishing.org. I have it on both my phones on like 2 or 3 computers. So, I try to respond as quick as I can. With being a small business owner, like today I was out a lot, just trying to promote. So it can take some time in certain cases for me to respond, but I try to respond as quickly as I can to all inquiries.
Yeah, that's great. But also make sure you save time for yourself. You don't want to burn the candle at both ends, and people know you're a human. So, don't get too hard on yourselves. You're not responding to people right away. And everyone,
yes, sir.
The man's busy. He's got an 8-month-old, and he's trying to change the world in his own way. So give him a break if he doesn't get back to you in the next 5 minutes.
Thanks,
all right,
Chris.
Vernon. So before we let you go, I have to ask you, what is your favorite dinosaur?
Oh, I forgot how to pronounce it, but the type of dinosaur that Littlefoot is.
Yeah, Littlefoot. A Patasaurus or Brontosaurus. They've gone back to it. Yeah. And why Littlefoot? Why before time? And why Littlefoot?
Yeah, man. Littlefoot, man. He was an amazing character. That I watched growing up as a kid in the Land Before Time series, and he's very courageous. Dare I say, wise for his age. He was also a great leader for him and his friends. So I really enjoyed those qualities of Littlefoot. So that's why the type of dinosaur that he is my favorite.
Awesome. Well, Vernon, it's been an absolute pleasure and honor to talk with you, to learn more of your journey. And I'm excited to find out what you and DF Publishing have in store for the years to come. So thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, Chris, thank you so much for having me. It's definitely a pleasure, man.
Awesome. No, thank you. And everyone, so if you want to learn more about Vernon and his journey, go to dfpublishing.org or reach out to him at Facebook and Instagram. If you want to learn more about me and my journey, you can go to chrisdtgordon.com. You can also find me on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, which you're probably watching this on if you're not listening to the podcast, or check me out at Scar Bears on Apple Podcasts and all the podcasty places. But reach out if you or someone you know needs some help with increasing their gratitude, positivity, and resilience. And with that, I thank you once again for joining me today. Please have a fantastic day. And remember to pass imperfection and go for greatness.